Hello from Bali. This is a podcast Pigeon of Peace where we do discuss some skills of troubleshooters. Watch, listen, and check the description below for the details. Let's talk about concierge and let's start with the definition.
This may be one of my favorite topics. I have been working as a banker for almost 20 years, and sometimes I meet the requests which would very hard to fulfill. For example, to repair some wristwatches or to gain the place in fancy restaurant or to have a meeting with, I don't know how to say, Papa Rimsky,
Pope.
Pop. Yes, and sometime I was thinking how I could make this, and then I was on the meeting with concierge-service, and it's from Great Britain. It's the company name is Quintessentials, and they were just laughing. Come on, if you have money, we can do everything. And several times I was given as a present to people I know, even meeting with Pope, and they could do this. I have an article in Russian language about like 15 or something like this amount of cases when I was using concierge. One of them was like this. It was a small girl which was ill, and emergency were telling to the parents that it is impossible by the car due the traffic jams go to the hospital and better to use helicopter. And it was a call from the father of this girl, and he asked me, Oleg, you could do everything I know, please help me. And I make a call to concierge, and they, without any further payment, they just send helicopter, and this girl was delivered in hospital, and then they charge me like 450,000 US rubles, and it was like 3 or 5 years ago. It was quite expensive, and I was thinking how huge the price. So on that money you could fly to USA with two person in business class, and I was worried if the father would pay me repay this money back, but he done it instantly. So concierge, this special kind of people or companies, they could take from your requests to get something from anywhere, and they will make it.
Well, okay, maybe since we already were speaking about the price tag, basically, I would say like the entrance. So what is the clientele of the concierge? Because at certain point of time you might be concierge for like a small time things, but let's say if you want to increase your like level or whatever, you also need to figure out like who exactly is ready to do that, and then like what they might be looking for. So when you look into the clientele, how do you make sure that you will be the number one, like you will be top of the mind person who like will get the call and get the job done?
You're quite right. We have several levels of requests. And for example, even today, it was a friend of mine. He arrived from China, and he wanted maybe to buy a huge store in the Moscow named Tsum. And he asked me, could you make me a favor? I want to have a meeting because Chinese people, they want to give money to those people and maybe to buy out this fancy shop. And I asked my colleagues in Quintessentials in Great Britain, and they say, Oleg, we do not work right now on the territory of Russian Federation, so even if we could help, we wouldn't. So you should ask for someone else. And then I switched to another guys, and they do it in a personal, like a personal favor, and they make me this meeting, and I paid just 7,000 rubles. So it's quite a price. It's like $90, so it's almost nothing. So you have several corridors. On first corridor, you will pay like, I don't know, maybe 100 or 150 US dollars per month, and you will be granted train, plane, and cinema tickets. If you will pay like 500 Great Britain pounds, it's okay to say, or pounds?
Yeah, pounds or GBP.
Pounds, GBP, yes. So you will have like level one entrance, and you will go through the fast track in airports. You will be granted good cars, whatever, whenever, and you also will granted some tickets for sport competitions. But if you will pay like 15,000 GBP, in this case, you will have a second level of the package, and you will have special card. And if you have a needs like 10,000 euros, it would be given you without any documents.
And when we actually speak about the interaction as well, and I will try to ask some tricky questions too. So first thing that would come into mind, let's say, like your concierge, you already have your funds, you already have your budget, but at a certain point of time, let's say when the customer may not be so, like fair or come with a good face, they actually might be saying, okay, like it's too expensive, I don't want to pay. So how would you go about this? Like, how will you make sure that, like you still keep your business running and you don't get the reputation of person, like who you just okay to not to pay to?
It depends from you. For example, it was a request from one of my client, and he asked me, we want to be on a last day competition for Olympic Games, which was held in France last year. I'm correct? In Paris.
That's correct.
Yes. And it was a price like 12,000 US dollars for 3 person, but suddenly my client refuses to pay. In this case, I just buy out it by myself, and then I give those tickets to my friends because I have no other chance. If you will not give money to the concierge, yes, for them it's quite a loss, but anyway, they will just cross out your name from the list and you could never ask them for any favor. So if you want to make one-time deal, you could be not a honest person, but if you want to work with them for a long time period or long live period, then you should pay by yourself.
Well, then when you're working as a concierge, obviously you need to have like a network of people. You need to make sure that, you are good and, like I would say like a constructive person to work with. So how do you approach to building your network and also like maybe make it deeper? Because, like sometimes it could be like a one call favor. Sometimes it could be something that, like other people, they would also have to pull multiple strings in order to get like everything into the motion. So how you go into the scale and then into the depth?
The main base which standing behind the concierge services is 5-star hotel chains. So if you're working on the desk, you could be on reception or a concierge desk, then you will get a call. Oh, come on, Maxim, we are from Golden Keys. Can you please do us a favor? Golden Keys, it's like a password. Golden Keys, it's very, I forgot the name, very proud society of concierge services which do беспрецедентный service, unprecedented service. So if you will help to those people like 3 times per year, they will enroll you in those golden keys, and you will get small pin with this golden keys, and everyone would see that you are already listed in this society. And for concierge, it's like a golden medal. And if I see a person with golden keys, I know exactly, first, I should give just for start $50 to show him that I have a money, $50 just for nothing. But from other side, I should show him that I know what this means. And if you will show the person, okay, this is golden keys, he will smile because he is very proud to have this. And if you will ask them and they will not fulfill your request, then you could give an appeal. And in some cases, they could be expelled from society.
Yeah, expel is a good word. And sometimes, like it might be like a ridiculous requests from the customers. So there's also should be some sort of like an ethical or moral borders, or even, like I would say like a logical borders, because let's say at certain point of time, you can't really get like a white elephant into the room, like during a couple of hours. So how good concierge should handle that to keep the customers pleased, or at certain point of time, they might be saying no. And again, it might be felt like very well thought and very well wrapped no.
Several times I was dealing with concierge with very complicated cases, and one of them, it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was St. Petersburg. It was a foreigner, which this person, he was thinking that in the St. Petersburg, it's quite easy to have, and I don't know how to say, sea hedgehog. I don't know how to say.
Yes, it could be sound like this.
I don't know exactly how to say. And he suddenly asked, could you please ask waiter, because he didn't speak Russian. I want to have as a meal from my breakfast 3 sea hedgehogs. And I'm not sure, but I said, okay, is it possible? And they were saying, come on, if you are living in such a room you're staying at, you have a privilege. And if you will insist, we will make this, but it will cost you. And it was a price with several zeros. And I asked them, okay, give me a minute. And I was making a call. And then Quintessentials will give me another offer 3 times cheaper. And my client get this sea hedgehog at the morning. And they were fresh and they were delivered by the plane in the night. And then suddenly this client asked me, by the way, I have a wristwatch, Konstantin Vacheron. It's something like tourbillon and some digits and something very complicated to pronounce. And he said, is it possible, could we make repassage of those watches? Repassage, it's special procedure when you clean, when you disassemble the wristwatch and you clean it. And all mechanical wristwatches could be cleaned at least 1 per year. And I asked guys, and definitely it's St. Petersburg, and there are a lot of shop which could do this job. And suddenly they give me an answer. We could do, but it will take us 3 days because we will make a call to the company which produces wristwatches. We will take manual from them and something like this. And then my client asked me, 3 days, it's too much. And then I asked to concierge and asked, is it possible to send those watches to his home? And they say, for sure, we can. And then those watches were repassaged in St. Petersburg, and they were sent to him, if I am not mistaken, to Baltimore or some other American city.
And well, all of the cases that we mostly covered, I do believe there are like more examples on that. They're more about, okay, can you get me something, or can you get something out of me and maybe make it in a good shape? But what might be like the other things? And while we were speaking, I also was thinking about like some cases, is anything could be applied to a digital area, or is anything that could be applied to some sort of like a service that you could do as the requester? You can ask them to do it for someone else. And again, like maybe in not your location, but in location where they are, or even the transportation them to specific location. So whether concierge actually have this in their scope of work, do they have a tools for that, and do they have a demand for that?
Yes, I have been riding the boat through the Indian Ocean. I was taking Earth round trip. Is okay to say кругосветка? Earth round trip.
Yeah, world around.
World around trip, and then I was stuck in some port for a very long time because it was storm and something like this, and no planes, no boats. And I make a call, and then they were asking, which kind of transport would you like to have? And I asked them, oh, I have no idea, but I want to go out of there because it's a very dirty food, dirty place to stay, and something like this. And they sent me helicopter, and it was military one. Second time, it was on Hawaii. I didn't know that it is not allowed to dive close to the Pearl Harbor. For me, it was place with huge amount of wrecks. But Americans, they refuse to go with me because they were saying this is memorial zone and no one was allowed to dive there. And I was saying, yes, come on, but I wouldn't touch anything. I could stay like 50 meters away. And then I was making a call to the concierge, and they were saying, come on, we will find some hooligans. And they give me a phone, and I arrived. It was a Zodiac boat. It was 2 ex-Navy SEALs, and we were riding under the smoke cover, and I was diving close to the Pearl Harbor. So at this point of my time, it was never happened that something which is wanted by my clients or on me couldn't be done. Yes, sometimes it would be slightly different, but anyway, it is possible. In the article I mentioned before, it was a small episode. It was a film producer from a European country, and he came to Moscow, and suddenly he wanted to have a piece of very famous and very expensive cheese. If I'm not mistaken, it is made from осел, donkey cheese.
Donkey.
And then we were heading on the yacht, which belongs to a very high official church. I don't know how to say. Church
Could be said
person.
church is good.
Okay. And then at one point of time, he was boring, and I was very afraid that maybe he will be not happy about this journey. And then we were trying to make something like this. We asked for phone of monastery, which would stand on the bank of the river, and then we will send them sample of the music from YouTube, and they were playing this music. I don't know how to say, with колокольчики, how it's named?
Ring bells.
With ring bell. And you know, when we done it for the very first time, I was thinking that maybe I am in a movie by myself. So it was unbelievable that those church institutions will play slightly not church music.
Well, it sounds like a ringing as a service. And then my last question will be how knowing about concierge could help to make this world a better place.
You know, sometimes your life would be ruined or broken if you will not get something. Sometimes it could be glasses which you wear on your eyes. Sometimes it could be maybe your gloves, maybe your equipment, maybe your document, something else. And concierge for some high price will deliver it to you, and then you could continue to live as nothing happened. And it's a very valuable service. If you have no needs, you're a lucky one. But I'm traveling a lot, and I meet people from around the world, and maybe each 2 or 3 weeks I make a call to concierge, and each time my heart in my chest is trying to jump out, because I am not sure if it could be done. But I have 3 concierge services, one in Hong Kong, one in England, and one in Russia, and up to now all requests were made at their best, and I'm so happy.
And we review the skill of concierge and how it could be helpful for you. Stay in peace.